this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate the HMDVR into your HeadPlay FPV goggles. For this mod, you're going to need the HMDVR. You're also going to need a set of HeadPlays, and you're going to need a screwdriver and a soldering iron. Before I begin, let me point out that I accept no responsibility whatsoever if you damage your FPV goggles or void your warranty. More than likely, this modification will void your warranty. So before you proceed in modifying your goggles, make sure that you're ready to accept that responsibility. Please don't leave any messages at the bottom or comments stating that you broke your goggles and that you want your money back and you want me to pay for it. Now on to the build. First step, you're going to have to disassemble the head plates. Start by removing the battery and the antenna. These are done simply enough by following the instructions. Remove the 4 screws on the bottom of the head plates. Simply turn the head plates over. You'll see 4 screws at the corner where the white pieces join. Set the goggles on the table after the screws are removed and slowly lift the upper section from the lower section. Be careful as the cables for the control board and the monitor are located inside and they don't offer that much length. Don't use any tools or screwdrivers to pry the two halves apart, as you may damage some important components inside. Step 2. Now that the two halves are separated, we're going to be working with the upper half. Looking inside the upper half of the FPV housing, you're going to notice that there are 2 screws inside. Remove those 2 screws and then remove the plastic covering that protects the receiver assembly. You can also remove the main power cable that connects your goggles to your battery. After the plastic housing has been removed, set it on a clean work surface. This is what we will be working on for the modification. You don't have to disassemble your goggles any further than this point. For anybody that is wondering, the receiver module is located underneath this board and is simply accessed by removing the 4 screws that are located on the corners of the board. The speaker is also located under here if you want to modify those items as well. Step 3, making our connections. For this step, you're going to need a soldering iron set at 650 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that calculates into Celsius, so use a Google converter for that. While your soldering iron is heating up, go ahead and prepare your HMDVR harness like I did in the photo. We're going to be using these 4 cables to make our connections to this board. Here are the locations where we will make our connections. If you follow the same color code, you should be okay when making these connections. Most importantly, make sure that the video in of the HMDVR is soldered into the AV1 of the HeadPlay board and that the video out of the HMDVR gets soldered to AV2. You'll see why this is important in a later step. Before you close up, we're going to go ahead and take some hot glue and hot glue the wires to secure them to the board. This will allow the wires to maintain a good connection to the board and not rip off the soldering pads. Step number 4, we're almost done here. Go ahead and twist the wires so that they're nice and neat and place a small zip tie about 2 inches from the end of the HMDVR cable. This is going to keep the cable from protruding out any further than you want it to be. Tuck the remaining cable around the space that's inside the cover. It's most important to get this nice and neat so that it can close properly. At this time, it's probably a good idea that you clean your magnification screen and LCD. If you don't have anything to clean it with, I suggest water and a microfiber towel. Don't use any kind of chemicals to clean your screen as it may cause discoloration or scratches. Also take the time to clean the inside of the goggle housing. The black felt inside can reflect small particles of dirt, which in time could become an annoyance. Finally, reassemble the goggles and get ready to test. When reassembling the goggles, you don't want to torque the screws down as they're just screwing into plastic and you could potentially damage the housing that the screw sets in. Let's get them nice and snug. Step 5, the testing. If you modify the goggles correctly, you will see that AV1 setting will allow that the feed from your FPV camera to be received just as it was before you done the modification. You'll also notice that AV2, the setting will display the HMDVR heads-up display and you can also play back through the goggles. I do not suggest that you use this setting to fly as there's a slight lag and it is very noticeable when flying. Before you start flying FPV, I suggest that you test the range and the feed before you fly your aircraft and make sure that there are no surprises when you're in the air. AV1 should look just like it did before you did the modification. That's it. Now go and enjoy your new head plays with the integrated HMDVR module.